Okay, we're off on to the second lesson for today and the last one. Um, so we have measure of spread. So the mean, median, and mode are all good ways to find the center of your data. This information is most used when the set of data being compared are similar. It is also important to find out how much your data is spread out. This gives us more insight on the data that you're looking at. So both have the same median and mean, but how is this misleading? So if you look at the first one, like this is super spread out as opposed to this one. Like that, they have the same mean, but this is spread out. It's different all the time, whereas this one is consistently the same. Okay, so it's very different in those senses and it can be very misleading. So how can we how can data set A and B be further compared to explain their differences? So what we use is what we call using the range. So those two had the same mean, like we said, and when you put it into a graph, it looks totally different. So we use what's called the range to kind of compare. So the range is the difference between the maximum and the minimum data sets. Okay, so you do the maximum point that you have minus your minimum point that you have. Okay, so I'm going to clear this just so we can look at the graph and look for the range for the first one. So for the first one, for example, we have our maximum is 4 and our minimum is 1. Okay, so you do 4 minus 1. Oh, no, wait. We use these guys, so 9 minus 1 is what we're looking at. Okay, so you do 9 minus 1. So our range for set A is 8. And if you were to look at set B, our maximum is 7 and our minimum is 3. So it's 4. So therefore set B is more consistent because it has a lower number. Okay, so I'm going to clear this and we're going to look at an example. So twins John and Paul both work at a local pizza shop. Their manager has decided to give a raise to their best employer. She looks at their data. So the question is, who is more deserving, depending on the number of pizzas made in a shift. So she starts by finding the mean number of pizzas made by each in their range. Okay, so we're going to find the mean. So if we look at John's mean, so you're going to add all of these numbers together. That gives us 832. And then divide by 8, which gives us 104. And then we're looking at the range. So the range would be the highest, which is 180, take away 12, which is 168. And then if we look at Paul, so we're going to do his mean and his range. So the mean would be, I'm not going to write all the numbers, you're just adding them. So it gives us 832 over 8, which is the exact same thing as John. So you see that their mean are the same. And then our highest is 180, subtract 112 as our lowest, which is also 168. So both their mean and their range are the same. So that's why we need to also consider the standard deviation. Okay, so the standard deviation is a measure of the amount of variation or dispersion of a set of values. And you're probably sitting there like, Miss Lafreniere, what the heck does that mean? So I'm going to clear this and we're going to do an example. Okay, we're not doing this example, but we're going to continue on with this. So sometimes it's easier to put complete calculations in a table format. So the mean for John is 104. So what we do is we're going to do the number of pizzas, take away the mean, which is 104. So you do 54, take away 104. You do 152, take away 104, which gives us 48. And you continue doing that in the graph. Okay. And then our next step is to do this answer squared. So you do negative 50 squared, which is 2,500. Okay, and you keep going on. I'm not going to write the whole calculations. So you keep doing that. Oh, 4. Okay, so this is our first step. So our first step is to take the number of pizzas and you subtract it by the mean. This is our second step, so you square it. Our third is to find the total. So you add all of these guys. Okay, so your next one is to compare it to Paul's data. I won't do that, it's a long process, but this is how you do the standard deviation. So if Paul's is higher than John's, then he's more deserving. If he's lower, then he is not. Okay. So I'm going to clear this and I'm just going to look at your assignment real quick because this isn't supposed to be there. That's tomorrow's. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a sample question. It should be a question that's more of a yes or no type of question. You will submit a survey to me by 3 p.m. today so I can post it to other classes and get the data for you guys from the other question or classes, the other students. Okay, so survey questions. So create questions for students to answer that is quantitative. So they give you a number as their answer. So like number of hours, number of days, number of items, or like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how much do you hate this class kind of thing. So your first step is to create that question. What is the population you were targeting in your question? Does the sample Miss Lafreniere assign you represent your population? So I believe you're going to have about probably give or take 14 students to survey. How might there be bias in your survey? What might be a better way to conduct your survey? Give an example, and so on. Okay, so really all you're doing today, since you don't have any answers, all you're doing is you're creating questions on a scale of 1 to 10 or something with numbers. So you can submit it to me and I can give it to the other students in other classes. And then you're going to read your data tomorrow and you're going to work on the rest of the assignment tomorrow. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. And that is it for today.